Welcome to the Marathon Review by 144 The Terrorman.
Rub your nuts on that. There you go. There he is. Oh yeah, he's trying to too. Oh shit!
Another one right here. Right there. He's weak. One touch right there. After about a month of playing Marathon, dozens of hours have been put into this game by many people. Some have been playing the game for hundreds of hours already, ranking up their accounts, really diving in, getting their teeth sunk into this game and getting an idea of what this game offers in its complete form. And I'm telling you right now, the reviews are in. And whether it's Steam reviews, PlayStation reviews, Xbox reviews, or even the mainstream media journalists, they all come to one conclusion. This game has a lot going forward. And the thing is, with all of the hate that's been following after this game, I'll tell you exactly what it is, but before I do, I really want to just kind of reiterate the fact that this game is fantastic. The way that it plays is great. Watching some of my gameplay here, some of the PvP action, that's been taking place over the past week. Marathon is super competitive. That's true. Marathon is not going to appeal to a super wide, broad audience. That's also true. But one thing that I have to say when it comes down to it, I have to thank Sony for this. PC gamers, you should thank Sony for this game. Xbox players, you should thank Sony for this game. You know why? Because they've taken the hit, monetarily, they've taken the hit to put out a game that they most likely knew that wasn't going to be hitting the type of numbers that Destiny or Destiny 2 was going to hit. And they still went ahead and followed through with this game because the product that they have is very likable for the people that have gotten into it. And so there is a hardcore fan base that is being made around Marathon. Marathon is here to stay. Whether it has big numbers or not, this is a game that has the ability to go on for quite a while. The servers are going to stay up. It's not going to be super expensive to maintain. They already went and made the game. And so any content that's coming out from here on forward is not going to be, hundreds of millions of dollars in funding. It's just going to be enough to maintain the game. And so with that being said, people that are buying the, the slips for the battle pass and all that kind of stuff, they'll be helping to maintain this game. And the player base itself is strong enough. Now, we only can see, of course, concurrently who's playing on Steam, and that's something that people have dedicated their entire lives to monitoring, apparently. And you see that all over Twitter. But Marathon is still doing good nonetheless because the sentiment behind the game with the people that are actually playing it is fantastic. Now, that goes without saying. This game could very well win awards in the future. It could garner some more hype and more momentum behind it at some point. We already know what the game is capable of as far as the competition that it brings to the table. There's really second to none right now in the market. And you can't really put another game next to this game and say, oh, this is a direct competitor to it, because what Marathon is doing is actually very unique in itself, with the deep progression, with the rewarding gunplay, with the high-stakes loot. The extraction shooter genre was a niche, but here's the thing. What this game is going to do is going to set the tone for just how FPS games are evolving, because to play a game like this and to go back to playing a lobby shooter like Battlefield or Call of Duty, you won't feel the high stakes. You won't feel what it feels like to come up from a rook run or from a sponsored kit and to leave with purples and gold weapons. You know what I'm saying? Like this particular run right here, we came in with green gear. We're end up leaving the match with purples. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, this is incredible. This is the kind of rewarding gameplay that you want in a game that has the multiplayer, aspect to it that's going to make you really lean forward in your chair. Marathon is the leaning forward in your gaming chair or couch chair type of game. And I can't really think of many games that make us do that right now, because when you play COD and you play Battlefield, for the most part, you're relaxed. You die, you spawn back in, life goes on, right? In Marathon, yeah, you feel the weight of every fight. You feel every time a gun hits you, you feel it. It's like, oh shit, I gotta recharge. Do I got a medic drone on me? Do I got patch kits? Do I got shield rechargers? Everything that happens all throughout the game keeps you on your toes, and that's not exactly something that can be portrayed necessarily when you're watching the game. But when you're playing it, you definitely feel like everything that you do is your fault, whether you win, whether you lose, that type of thing. I think I closed the door. We were getting flanked by two sides. You could see that things are getting really hectic in here, Outpost is absolutely insane. Ranked is insane. Cryo Archive is insane. We got to talk about all this stuff, man. And honestly, that was just the intro to this video. So with that being said, what's up, y'all? Again, it's the Terabint, and we're back with some more Marathon. I'm sorry that I haven't been uploading as much, but that's because I've just been playing the game. I can't really set aside a bunch of time to dedicate to just editing videos. I'll record some of the gameplay when I'm playing, but most of my free time, I want to just play the game, and that's something that no game has really done for me since Destiny 1 or Dust 514, where it's just an unhealthy amount of want to play the game, even past the time where I need to go to sleep to get ready for work the next day. This kind of game will make you do it, and so I have to be real smart about it. I have to really pace myself. And for a game to do that, that's got to be saying something. A game like that has grabbed the attention of streamers like Shroud, you understand, Aztec Cross, a lot of these guys that are back in the game. Hell, even Burnt Peanuts played the game a little bit. A lot of good times watching these guys. And when I'm not playing Marathon, I'm watching content about Marathon, listening on podcasts that are talking about Marathon while I'm at work. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's ad nauseum at this point, because it's like the game has taken over my own personal rotation for now. And when I started playing it, I said, oh yeah, this is going to hold me up very well, at least until GTA 6 comes out. And I haven't even touched Battlefield 6 with Season 2 since I've been playing this game. And so I gotta say, man, like, this is definitely the right direction for Bungie to go. And again, I have to thank Sony for this, because they took a hit monetarily, financially, to put out a game for the hardcore gamer. And I feel like this is a game that was catered to players like myself. Now, that may not equate to mass appeal. It may not equate to, millions of players, hundreds of thousands of concurrent players. And you know what? That's fine. That's okay with me. And another thing too is, oh yeah, check it out. We got the heavy AR. I gotta take that. The thing is, if it does do well enough on console to maintain, that's all that matters to me. Because the Steam numbers don't mean anything to me. I'm playing on the PlayStation 5 Pro. I care about developments for the game that trickle down to console. Now, of course, having a large player base on PC is beneficial for the console in the long run, right? Because the support will be there, the content will be there, all that kind of stuff. The tweaks will be there. But the thing about console is you don't have to play against PC. PC gamers are forced to play against other PC gamers. And that goes without saying all of the cheating and potential, trickery that's involved with gaming on PC. That's, of course, a negative thing. But, hey, hopefully it's not too common in this game, but it is prominent over time in a lot of mainstream, first-person shooters, especially, right? So for Marathon to give you the option to turn off the crossplay against PC and only crossplay against Xbox, that is such a huge thing that cannot be overlooked when reviewing the game, especially if you're reviewing the game on console. We just recently saw, within the past few days, that IGN just released their written article. I'm assuming perhaps there may be a video article at some point. that they reviewed the game on the Xbox Series X, and the game got a 9 out of 10. And I'm going to tell you right now, and I say this honestly, but also kind of ignorantly because I didn't play this on PC. I'm actually very confident that the best way to play this game is actually on console because it's a little bit less sweaty, which makes it a little bit more, a little bit more accessible, right? For of course those that are on console, you do have the flat 60 FPS cap as of right now, as of the end of March going into April, and so there's a level playing field, which makes it even more competitive overall because less people have an actual advantage. Now, I've also been one to say, hey, if they go ahead and put a performance mode on the game, I would appreciate that. I would like for them to open up the frame rates after optimizing the game and taking some of the responsibility off of the CPU, putting that on the GPU to see if we can push the frames, above 80, 90 FPS, maybe a little more. I don't exactly know. I just know that Destiny 2 runs very well on multiplayer, hitting 120 frames per second. So for a game to be using the same engine, I think it's probably possible. I don't think that there's too much going on, even with the PvE involved, that can prevent it from actually hitting some decent numbers beyond 60 FPS. And if that is the case, then maybe I'll go ahead and turn the crossplay back on because I have no problem playing against PC when I can push the PS5 Pro to its limits. You understand? Because what happens in Battlefield 6, for example, if I'm able to get well above 90, upwards of 100, 110 frames per second on the PS5 Pro, I'm much more competitive, and because of that, I do very well on Battlefield 6, going anywhere between mid to the upper echelon of the leaderboards at the end of each match. So I can be competitive even against PC, even though I'm just using the controller, right? So there's that whole part of the gameplay, right? PC versus PlayStation, of course, the input type between keyboard, mouse versus controller. Does the controller have too much aim assist? Well, aiming overall is just super cracked out and very twitchy, and so they have that advantage. And that's the format, right? We know that by now. It's just business as usual when it comes to that part of the conversation. But Marathon is absolutely a top tier game. And all of the hatred that's put behind it is unwarranted. It's completely unfounded because Marathon is doing something for the genre that hasn't been done before. The deep progression, you understand? The perfect blend between grounded capabilities and sci-fi elements that make this game stand out. The art direction, I believe it to be fantastic. And again, like I said, if we see further improvements to optimization in the future, then that's just going to entice more people to either try the game out, or of course, those that have already been into the game, they're going to want to continue to play it because it's going to feel better and better over time, right? So I gotta say, man, I don't understand why there's so many haters behind the game, but I think I know what it is. I think it's because there's a lot of people right now between the grifting community, grifters on Xbox, grifters on PlayStation, grifters on PC, right? Just talking mad shit about each other, looking for any kind of reason to say they got a one-up or some kind of content that they can push out. And so Marathon became basically the default target in the midst of all this because of all of the the bad news leading up to the launch of the game, and then of course the actual launch of the game, the server slam, the overall feedback and people liking it. There's a lot of back and forth for a game to be so polarizing, having one end of the spectrum completely loving the game and the other end of the spectrum completely hating the game. That alone tells you a lot about the game itself. For it to have two realities at once, it is definitely at the top of gaming, regardless of the conversation. And the best way to clap back at any negativity surrounding this game is to just make content for it. Just continue to support it. And that's what I'm doing here, is I'm actually showing my own personal gameplay here as I'm talking about this. Now, rank mode is another thing that we want to talk about here. So rank mode is also, I don't know if it's still weekends only, but it's definitely caught my attention. Rank mode is more high stakes, consistent, good loot off of other teams. Of course, there's a much higher chance for you to lose, so you got to bring in some good gear. But the payout is incredible. The actual way that the gunfights actually play out is just so rewarding, and really, really gritty down to the very last bullet. Bitch ass nigga.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. What you talking about, nigga?
And the fact that rank requires a buy-in, right? I believe 3,000 for regular. Cryo Archive requiring 5,000, a kit loadout of 5,000 worth of gear just to infill into the game is such a huge deal. Let me tell you why. Because the consistency of the loot. You understand? Going into a ranked match, you can leave with some pretty solid stuff. Lots of blues, some purples. If people are getting real ballsy, they may even run their golds. You understand? If they feel that confident with their team. And it becomes a match of attrition. Really trying to show other teams, look, you got what you got. You're confident in what you got. But what we got right now, our squad, working together, can beat your squad. And if you just so happen to get the jump on a third party on another squad and just time it perfectly, oh man, the amount of goop that you get is insane. You understand? Just coming out there with weapons, stacked to the teeth, all types of shield modules, all that kind of stuff that you could use to go into some high level, maps like Cryo Archive, for example. So what I love about ranked is that ranked, previous week was perimeter, right? And then this week is Diamarsh. It's probably going to be outpost next week. And so you're getting a good flavor. It makes each map feel like end game level tier loot and all that kind of stuff. The high stakes. I'm just saying, it's so good, man. It's so good. I don't know. See, because again, I'm kind of new to the extraction shooter genre. I don't know if other games do ranked, but from what I heard, it's nothing like this. Like other extraction shooters, they're not exactly doing what Marathon is doing right here. So again, ranked is fantastic. Cryo Archive, another really good one, man. Cryo Archive has the most verticality that I've ever seen in a Bungie map ever. You understand? Like ever. the scale of the map, the puzzles, like all the stuff just comes together in an experience that just keeps you on your toes. Again, it's not something that you can feel 100% just from watching, but when you're playing it, when it's your gear on the line, when it's your reputation and your wallet, your credits, your loot on the line, it just feels so much different. You know what I'm saying? So like I said, extraction shooters, especially with Marathon now at the helm and really leading the way as far as innovating the genre, is making this the evolution of first-person shooters. Now again, of course, this may go without saying, there's going to be other extraction shooters out there, and some of those are obviously not going to be first-person, like Ark, for example, right? Ark, being able to creep behind a corner, being able to see behind a corner, like on some Fortnite stuff, pop around with a sniper, take a quick shot off. That you're not going to get away with that in this game. And even if you try to be a little bit of a rat in this game, there are ways around it. There are counters to it. Running recon has been great for that. You understand? Using the spider drone to, get around the corner and get the jump on some of these hostiles. It's a fantastic blend, you understand, of what we need in a shooter and what it takes to get out alive. Alright, now we get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, I bet.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and I'm going to give Marathon an absolute 10 out of 10. The reason why I got to do that is because this is the most unique game that I've played in a long time. The menus, while they're daunting at first, reward you for reading. Okay, now I gotta say, yeah, you're reading while playing a video game. I understand some people are not gonna like that, but what you get out of that just from the preparation, your matches are won with your brain before you even enter the match, with your planning, your cunning, your preparation, all that stuff with your team, good comms, all that comes together in what is a beautiful example of what it takes to innovate in such a saturated video game market. And if that means that the player base may not be as large as other games out there, that doesn't make this game any less of what it actually is, and it is a 10 out of 10. We see constant games get updates, to get improvements. We've waited a couple of weeks to see what this game really has in store. We're now seeing the ranked. We're now seeing the Cryo Archive. It all has come together in what is a masterpiece that we are going to be playing for years to come on both console and PC. Big shout out to PlayStation Studios for making such an awesome game. This is the type of game that makes you lean forward in your chair. And so, y'all better lock the fuck in. When you play Marathon, you gotta bring your A game.